Sideline Fever Live, and hello to everybody in Australia who are getting up at, I think it's 4:30 in Perth and 6:30 in Sydney and Melbourne.
Wow.
Welcome to the show. And if you're listening on the podcast, welcome back. Very, very special guest. Would love to have him on the show any number of times in the past, but he's finally here. From Buckcherry, Josh Todd. Hello, Josh. How are you?
Thank you. Hello. I'm good, man. Thanks for having me. I'm out here in the United States on the Hellbound tour right now. We're on the East Coast, so it's 4:30 p.m. for me. It's been going really good. You know, we got a great new record just dropped, and just really excited to be playing these songs live and to be out on stage.
Now, I've been doing a little bit of research before calling you, and it seems like it's quite a COVID story. You know, like I just wonder if would the album have sounded completely different without the pandemic? Has it been really informed by that?
Without the pandemic, there would be no album because we would have been we had a whole tour booked, still touring on the Warpaint record. So 2020 was filled up for us, you know, with touring, and then slowly but surely, month after month, everything started canceling and getting taken off the books, and that's when we had to kind of regroup and reset and started talking to my manager and Stevie and I and my manager. And I was like, hey, you know, when all the dust settles and we get back to life as some kind of normalcy, you know, we're going to need another record, you know, it's going to be a couple of years, you know. And so we just wanted to utilize the time wisely, and we started working really hard on this, on the Hellbound record. And it's definitely one of our best records for sure. We worked really, really hard on this. We wrote about 28 songs for a 10-song record, so it really paid off.
It's diverse, isn't it? And the songwriting's ambitious. Is there something you tried to? Did you set out with something to achieve on this record? Is there something I want to achieve X, Y, and Z?
I want to achieve greatness every time out. You know, that's really it. I mean, you know, it's literally that. We want to write a record that's you can put on and leave on, you know, something that's timeless and incredible and takes you on a journey, and every song is a keeper, you know what I mean? Every song is A-list. There's no filler, you know. So I mean, that's what we strive for on every record, but this one for sure. And that's why we wrote a lot of songs.
You talk about this being a sort of a little bit of a COVID story, your own experience. Now, I didn't even, I've got to admit, I thought I had a decent vocabulary, but I wasn't sure what a phlebotomist was until a few hours ago. Did I say it right? Yeah. Did I say it right?
A lot of people are talking about my phlebotomy. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I was already done. Well, while we were writing songs for it, I was also studying for phlebotomy. You know, I was just interested in it. I like to learn new things all the time. And yeah, it's weird. It's really off the beaten path, but it was good for me. It was, I like doing things that take me away from music, you know?
Yeah.
Because music's all I've done since I was 15, you know, so.
And you would have been like almost a frontline worker, like when people, you know, are getting their vaccinations. So you would actually.
I was a frontline worker.
You were, yeah.
Yeah, we finished the Hellbound record. We were done with this record in October of 2020. And I started working for a COVID clinic out in downtown Los Angeles in December 2020. And I worked full time. I was a phlebotomist and a lab technician, and I've held a lot of live coronavirus in my hands. I've taken a lot of blood. I served my community, and it was pretty amazing.
So can you enlighten us as to what it's like out there in the front line, what the attitude is in America to the, you know, to the vaccination program, to the virus? We've got all over the world, we've got anti-vaxxers. Now you find yourself out on the road, you're dealing with social distancing and all that sort of stuff. You must have very firm views on all those issues and on what are the problems that you encounter? What are the things that
it's tough. It's tough because I got to see firsthand how coronavirus really affected our community and our city, you know. And at one point we had a 60% infection rate every day, you know. And I saw the people who were sick. You could see them when they rolled up in their cars, you know. You could see them when you were taking their blood. And so it was heavy, you know. We also I had some coworkers that got coronavirus. We've known a lot of people that have had coronavirus, of course. I'm sure you've known some people who have had coronavirus. So it's not a fun thing, and it really affects people dramatically in different ways, you know. And I think blood type plays a role in it as well, you know. But as far as getting vaccinated, it was a no-brainer for me. And because I was a frontline worker at the time, I got to be one of the first, you know, and I went and got vaccinated right away, you know, and so did all my coworkers. And I actually got the Moderna vaccine, and I'm super grateful for that. I don't want to get in a big vaccine debate, you know, because I think everybody has their own beliefs, and I don't want to get into a big political discussion because it's not my thing, you know. But I can just tell you from being in the thick of it, I definitely was happy to get the vaccination.
Before we have our first song, Josh, for the people listening, not for the people watching, do people have to be vaccinated to come to your shows?
I don't think you're ever going to find out who's actually vaccinated or not. So that's, you know, no, we don't require a vaccination to come to a Buckcherry show.
Okay. Welcome back to White Line Fever. My name's Steve Mascord. Second part of the interview with Josh Todd from Buckcherry. Welcome back. Josh and everyone who's watching, you've been watching. So the 28 songs written for a 10 song album. What happens to the other 28? Does the quality control mean they get thrown in the trash? Or sorry, the other 18? Or do you work with them and maybe they emerge further down the track?
I mean, people always ask that question, you know. There's a reason a song doesn't make a record, and it's just because it's not good enough, you know. And so rarely do we revisit old songs. Sometimes there's a good chorus that we may take from an old song, or a good verse or whatever. I think there's probably like maybe 3 songs that are on the cutting room floor that we could possibly put on a record that are really good, you know. Maybe that, but other than that, we always start from a clean slate, you know, the ground up.
Yeah. With Billy Rowe joining the band, I mean, I'm, you know, old enough to, you know, remember Jet Boy when the first album came out, and later able to go and see them a couple of times. He obviously is a principal in that band, and in your band, you know, he's new. So, you know, is that a hard thing for a musician to get used to? Is it hard for him to get used to, where I guess he doesn't have authority, as it were, in your band? You know what I mean? He's new. Is that a weird thing, or?
Yeah, it's a delicate dynamic when you get into a band that's you know, already put out 8 records and had this, you know, huge career. But he's a veteran, and you know, he's been in the game a long time. That's why we like him. He's a very easy-going guy, and he understands what, you know, his role and how it's going to take time, and that's just it. And he's fitting in very nicely. And like I said, we've been touring out here for over a month, and it's been smooth sailing, and yeah, we're having a good time.
Can you tell, in your experience, 9 records now, can you tell after like 2 weeks if it's going to have traction? Like after 2 weeks, can you get a vibe for how it's going to be remembered and how it's going down with the fans, or is that only really something that comes in the fullness of time, you know?
Yeah, you can get a vibe on the build up and the pre-sales and everything. And like, we broke new grounds already with this record. We were debuted number one on the rock charts in the UK. First time ever on any record. Very cool. I think we were the highest charting that we've ever done in Japan as well. And I don't know about Australia. That could be the case too. But we are super thrilled. It's very well received. The songs are really great. We're already at over 400,000 views of So Hot. And some of our views of other videos that have been out for years aren't even at that number, you know. So yeah, it's going really well. Taking it one day at a time, of course. It's only been a week, you know. All I know is that when we play these songs live, it's incredible to see the reaction. They fit in really nice, and it's making our headlining set like what I always imagined it to be. There's absolutely not one bad song in the set, you know. Not that there was a bad song before, but you know what I mean. Every song is like a hit. It's great.
we're talking about the new album Hellbound, which, as you've mentioned, has been wonderfully received. I guess each time a record comes out, people give you their opinion of your career trajectory and what they think the good record was and what they think. Do you have a view of your career trajectory? Can you go back in your mind over the last 9 albums and say, well, that we did that right, we did that wrong, or, you know, are there missteps in your mind? And are you fascinated to hear what other people think? You know, how do you sum up that trajectory, you know?
I mean, sure, I could go through every record and pick it apart and say what I could have done better and all of that. But, you know, I don't have regrets. I don't look back, and I know that everything is a learning process. You know, there is no failure. It's only learning, you know? So, what I think are good Buckcherry records and what other people think are going to be completely different, I'm sure, you know? So, that being said, I'm very proud. Every time I released a record, I was 100% behind it and fired up about it and thought it was the greatest thing that I could have done at the time. That I know, you know, looking back, I know that there's certain records that are better than others, you know, and then there's some that were just commercially received better, which is, it's just weird. It's just timing and everything. You never know. You could think you have the best record in the whole world and you release it and it just kind of falls flat with the public, or it's not as well received as you thought it was going to be. And it just kind of, it messes with your head a little bit. So, you know, we got out of that game as far as expectations. And we have, you know, we just make sure that we're doing what's true to our heart, you know, and we're leaving no stone unturned. We're doing what's best for the song all the time. And we're being thorough in our work ethic. And that's all we can do.
There seems to be a sense of fun in at least one song each record. I guess So Hot might be the one on this. You know, it's got a sense of humor. Is that a design thing? Is that like, we want a fun song here, we want something that people can laugh along with us? You know, is that?
I mean, So Hot is really about girl power. You know, it's about girl power and like the fact that now you don't have to migrate to a big city to become a star. You don't have to do any of that. You can just sit in your room and build your social media to be huge, you know, especially as a female. It's much easier and quicker, you know, because they can do it. You know, it's like this girl, the whole video premise is about that. Like, she sees all these people getting crazy followers and she's like, you know what, I can do this. And she goes into her closet and starts making herself up, and all of a sudden her followers are going through the roof, you know. And you know, I heard this really interesting interview with Kevin Hart, you know, not too long ago, and he's like, you know, celebrity as we know it is going. It's going to be gone because we're so diluted with information now, and that anybody can be their own little version of a celebrity. You know, we're seeing it with YouTube, you know, YouTube and social media, and people are building these empires and you don't even know who they are. They're doing it under the radar. And before you know it, you're looking and it's like, man, they got like 5 million followers and they're making how much a year and who are they? And, you know, and it's like, it's crazy what's going on, you know, and I just thought that was interesting. And that's kind of what So Hot is about, you know.
It's like boxers are now being challenged by YouTube stars. You know, like big professional boxers are actually YouTube stars. It's incredible. The other thing I wanted to ask you about was, like, it sounds to me like it's almost like you're a sportsman. Like, and I see you drinking some water there. You won't drink water during a show. You don't eat for the last 4 hours of every day. I mean, how do you do that? Aren't you hungry after a show? Like, how do you go to bed?
Discipline. You know, no, after a show, sometimes I get hungry. Sometimes I'm like really hungry, and I'll eat a banana. You know, I'll have a banana for potassium, you know, and I'll just drink water. But I go right into meditation after a show. So I'll meditate for 25 minutes and I'm done. I'm calm. I'm done. And then I just relax and eventually go to sleep.
So you lose weight on the road, where a lot of guys are obviously eating junk and that they can't keep it off. I mean, The other guys on the road with you must hate you that you lose weight on the road.
My wife hates it when I go on the road because she likes weight on me. You know, she's like, you're gonna lose like 5 pounds. Like 5 pounds for me is a lot of weight because I'm skinny by nature. And I'm like, yeah, well, that's part of the drill. I mean, you know, because I do sweat a lot, you know, and then the eating regimen is like, I'm not starving myself. I eat a lot during the day. It's just that last 4 hours, I don't eat anything.
Okay, let's have
And
another
so
song.
the 4 hours plus the 8 hours of sleep is a long time.
Welcome back. Last part of our interview with Josh. I want to thank him for his time. I want to actually sort of dice off this part of the interview from when we do the video. And I want to talk about, I hope it's not too boring for Josh, but I want to talk about when the first record came out and the vibe around it and the expectation. I remember being in Manhattan and seeing your picture on the side of a department store in the West Village, you know, and at the end of the 90s. And the vibe was that we've just got, grunge is gone, new metal's gone, rock's back, and this is the guy. This is the guy that's going to bring it back. And rock never came back, you know, really as a cultural force, you know, it's very, we all love it, and there's a huge amount of people. It's a big economy still in lots of parts of the world, but it never came back. And I just wondered what it was like for you to live through that period, Josh. I mean, to be kind of the Great White Hope and all that excitement and you know, how would you describe that?
Man, it wasn't just us. I mean, if I had $1 for every time, you know, everybody said, oh, this is going to be the next Guns N' Roses, and it was like some band, and it was like, oh, they made a record and then you never heard from them again, and you know, and so on and so forth. And you know, Buckcherry's always been the black sheep of rock music. We've never been mainstream since we started. Like, we started and it was rap rock and that shoegazing rock that I called it, like the nerd rock, the Buddy Holly glasses, and they're looking down at their shoes playing rock music. And then here we are, Buckcherry, you know, and nobody's like us. And so we just kept plugging away. We just kept sticking to our guns and doing what was true to us, you know, and built this whole island that we're the only ones on the island, you know. And we did that through a lot of hard work, and you know, the live show is really what we based everything on, you know. As far as rock is concerned, I think since the 2000s, it's been forgettable. You know what I mean? It's just been, not that the bands aren't good and not that they're not putting out, you know, songs. There's definitely been careers started after the 2000s in rock music, but it's just kind of like faceless. Like there's no rock stars, there's no guitar stars, there's no rock, you know, rock singers. If you look in the 90s, look at all the great frontmen. You know, you had Chris Cornell and Lane Staley and Eddie Vedder and Zach De La Roca and Jonathan Davis and so on. And then the 2000s and on, I couldn't even tell you who a singer is. You know, it's like, it's so weird. So I think it's because it became like this active rock movement, right? Where everything is tuned down and cut to a grid, and you know what I mean? And everybody's playing the samples live, and the singers, they all sing the same. So you listen to active rock radio and it sounds like the same band for 45 minutes. You know, there's no dynamics between bands. There's no like, oh, that's this band and that's that band. And, you know, they all have their own little flavor, and it's just not that way anymore. And I think that's why nobody is talking about rock music in the mainstream. There's literally one band that they go to commercially if they want to fill that rock slot on some award show or anything, and it's the Foo Fighters. That's it. Yeah. That's what you get for you get for the entire rock genre. You know what I mean? And that's good for them. But I mean, it's like, if you're a rock musician, it's tough.
Yeah, but I'm thinking that when you know, when they were taking that photo that I saw on the side of the department store, and you were getting, you know, you were with the stylist, you must have thought that the trajectory was heading in a different direction. The people around you must have told you that it's back and you're going to be massive, and you know what I mean?
I mean, that was right at the tail end of when you could really make a lot of noise still, where there was still a little bit of a controlled marketplace with radio and everything. I mean, our first record was in '99. I don't know if that's the time period. I think you're talking about the Calvin Klein Dirty Jeans campaign and that I did. And that was on the second record, Time Bomb. So, that was before we all got into this weird place that we're in with rock now, but, yeah, I don't know what was going on. I was just like riding a wave and super happy to be getting paid to be a musician.
Yeah.
For sure.
If there was a behind the music made of Buckcherry, which it has to have a certain, I just watched the Kiss documentary and they had to have the middle bit with the, Ace and Peter on the drugs and all that sort of stuff. I mean, what, from your perspective, was there a ditch in the middle? Was there a the old, could you do a behind the music on Buckcherry and would it fit the template,
Oh, 15 was an amazing comeback story. And I think that, we've had a lot of changing musicians for sure. That's something I didn't see coming. But we also tour a lot and we wear people out, and we've worn crew guys out and a lot of band guys. And, is it that interesting? I don't know. The comeback story of 15, super interesting. You could do a whole behind the music just on that story because it's unbelievable how it had success, so, and I could go on and on about that. I've talked about it many times in the past, but, yeah, the overall story, of course you could do behind the music. I mean, there's a lot of peaks and valleys. It's like whenever this band is backed up against the wall, like we were with the pandemic, we always make our best records, and Hellbound is one of the best. And, and that happened on 15 as well. We had a hiatus. Everybody had written us off. We got new band members and we just went for it, and nothing in that equation said we were going to have success, and we did.
Yeah. Before you go, we finish with a final song, and thanks for your time. The band name, Josh, Todd and the Conflict. I mean, at the time, as someone from a distance, I thought, well, there's drama here. You know what I mean? There's like, I'm not sure if there's going to see another Buckcherry record. I mean, where did the name of the band come from, and what was actually going on at the time? Was it just guys worn out who didn't want to tour, or was it more than that?
No, there was some stuff going on with Buckcherry, and I wanted to continue to be creative, and I went back to my roots. I started in 4-piece bands, not 5-piece. And my whole foundation is like independent punk rock records, and there was a band that I really liked when I was a kid, and it was called Conflict. Right. And I thought, I just love that word. I wanted to incorporate that word, and I wanted to call my band something. I always liked that, like Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, and stuff like that. So it was Josh, Todd and the Conflict, and I wanted to make a really aggressive rock record, and Stevie's known me since I was 19, so he knew exactly where I wanted to go with it, and we made an amazing record. That's a great record. If you haven't checked out that record, Year of the Tiger, you should check it out. But yeah, that was a lot of fun and kept us busy. And then that was the first record that Stevie and I really got to do on our own, and we had such a blast making that. And then it kind of was the build up to Warpaint and Hellbound.
Our time is almost up. I just wanted to ask you one more question. You said that you wear crew guys out, you wear bandmates out. Can you and Stevie be worn out?
Yeah. No, Stevie and I are like, it's weird. We're bonded for life. I mean, there was a point in time where we when we met, we were still drinking and using drugs quite heavily, and when we parted our ways, I had to get away from that scene so I could get cleaned up, and that meant Stevie and I were roommates at the time, and I lost contact with him because I had to get clean, and he hadn't made that decision yet in his life. And so I went and did my thing, and then eventually Buckcherry happened, and then eventually we came back together again. and Stevie was cleaned up, and it was like so good seeing, because we were really good friends and roommates, and we were never in bands together prior to that, you know. So but we're just bonded for life for whatever reason. God has put us in a place to where we always come back, and so I think we're going to weather the storm.
No retirement. Okay.